how would you describe Israel's cooperation with your efforts to speed desperately needed aid into Gaza?
Well, I think there's very constructive cooperation with my mission. The discussions I'm having at the highest level with the members of the War Cabinet, but also at a more practical level. Of course, ultimately, the resolution asks for two elements, and one of them is facilitation, expedition, acceleration of the volume of aid getting into Gaza. The second one is the establishment of a mechanism, which you've heard me explain what this will do, to underpin it, to provide transparency, to provide visibility, but also allow for prioritization and speed of acceleration. On the mechanism, as you know, I've mentioned here that we're about to launch, to apply it to the Jordan route as well as the Cyprus route. This also, of course, requires the full cooperation of the Israeli authorities. I have responded to that. And we've seen since the 5th of April a number of measures adopted by the Israeli government. I have listed them extensively. We're in continuous discussion and negotiation about the other measures that obviously we also need, ranging from effective deconfliction to the importation of repair materials and critical equipment, be it either for hospitals or even as simple as the spare parts for trucks. So this is an ongoing, intensive negotiation. What I'm calling for is a paradigm shift in the diversification of the types of goods, continue to increase the volume because the totality of needs of the civilian population is so significant that a lot more is needed. Equally so, the ability for the UN family, but also the NGOs, international and national NGOs, to distribute effectively. And that, of course, needs a broad range of solutions, from the repair of the roads to actually deconfliction, as I just mentioned, but also the ability to operate safely and securely. It pertains to checkpoints, it pertains to crossings. There's still a lot of work to be done.
Thank you. My name is Ibtisam Azim, Al Arabi Al Jadid newspaper. I have first follow up on the issue of mechanism that you talked about. How is this, because it's not clear for me the details. If you could give us a little bit more examples that we better understand what we are talking here about. And then the other question is on the port and the Cyprus corridor. Yes. Are they connected, or like is the corridor from Cyprus has anything to do with the port that the Americans want to establish? Do you need this port really or not? Thank you.
Well, let me take a step back. I've always said from the beginning, and I've repeated it here, the maritime corridor is no substitute for land routes. For me, and for, I think you've heard everybody else say this too, it's about land, land, land. It's quicker, it's cost efficient, it's easier, and that was, of course, the situation before the 7th of October. So we need to continue to focus all efforts on the land routes. That's also why it's been important that from the 5th of April, Ashdod has temporarily been made available, that Erez crossing can be used, and that other crossings, as you've heard the Israeli representative just remark, will also be used. It's all about land. Now, the additionality that the maritime corridor can provide is important. It's welcome, but it's additional and no substitute. How the maritime corridor and the port are connected? Well, you need to leave from Cyprus. The goods will be cleared there. Goods will arrive. Humanitarian goods will be cleared, will be security checked. They'll be shipped. And then there's a pier that's currently pier/port being constructed by the US, where the goods will be received, so to speak, and distributed, will be received and distributed by the international community across the entire Gaza Strip. For the UN, we have determined a number of parameters under which the UN family is able and in a position to receive and distribute the goods. But there are also a number of international NGOs that are considering participating in the distribution of goods that come via the maritime corridor. How does the mechanism fit into this? It's the Security Council that said, let's have a mechanism. So we've built a database in which you inform you're a member state or an organization of goods category X coming. They'll be pre-notified, they'll be cleared, and then they'll be shipped. And it will ease the process, at least as planned, it will ease the process of clearance, security checks, and also, of course, the arrival and the quickly onward distribution within Gaza. That's the plan. We will have monitors and our staff that will verify the type of goods, and I'll be working from Gaza with my team, because the end chain is verification and monitoring within Gaza, but in support of the humanitarian action, also to allow the actors to scale up significantly, because significantly more assistance needs to be provided. And as I mentioned, it's not just about humanitarian assistance. We need a broadening of the types of goods that are allowed in, but we also need the commercial sector to start functioning again. Human dignity is also about choice.
Sorry, just a follow-up. Michelle Nichols from Reuters. A follow-up to what you were talking about, the parameters that the UN's outlined regarding UN involvement in accepting goods that come off the pier. Can you tell us what they are, and is that to do with the Israeli military potentially providing the security for this US pier? And then just more broadly, is there enough aid getting in to avert famine?
Well, I think on your last point, our collective effort, of course, are to avert the famine. What we certainly know is that there is still a significant number of children, those who are vulnerable, on a very high end of the scale of malnutrition. Food insecurity is very, very high. So what we need is not only the volume to go up, but we need predictability and we need sustainability. It needs to be a constant. It needs to be every day. People need to know that it is coming. But the importance of fresh produce, for instance, the importance of therapeutic feeding, the types of nutrients that pregnant women need, all that needs to be broadened and consolidated. When it comes to parameters, well, there are a number of them. Indeed, one of them is also appropriate, truly effective deconfliction, freedom of choice, the way we operate, the ability to distribute all over the Gaza Strip, and of course the appropriate distance, in this case also from the Israeli Defense Forces, amongst others. But the parameters are being discussed, and it's been clear from the outset that we've said we want to maximize and be part of the overall effort, but under certain conditions. And there's been no no doubt about what the clarity is that we're seeking, and we're very hopeful that we're getting there. Ultimately, the goal is to reach people on a constant basis. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Which UN agencies will be involved in the distribution from the U.S. pier into Gaza? Will UNRWA be involved?
I beg your pardon?
Will UNRWA be involved?
In my statement, I've explicitly said the entire UN family. Thank you.